amino acids and non-essential amino acids. Non-essential amino acids are those amino acids that can be made by humans, and so it is not, so we don't need to eat those amino acids in our diet, but essential amino acids we have to take in our diet. If we will not take in our diet that amino acids, maybe we have some problems. So that are known as the essential amino acids. Generate a formula to memorize the essential and non-essential amino acids. Essential amino acids HILM TTV and non-essential amino acids ACG PST. Study more from there. Then proteins can be classified into different, like globular protein, membranous protein, fibrous proteins, simple proteins, conjugated proteins, derived proteins. What is simple proteins? On hydrolysis, they yielded only the amino acids and small carbohydrate compounds. Examples are albumin, globulin, gluteins, and etc. These proteins are also known as homoproteins and only have amino acids. These are known as simple proteins. Then we have another classification, that is conjugated proteins. These are simple proteins combined with some known protein material in the body. For example, nucleoproteins, glycoproteins, phosphoproteins, hemoglobins. So these are conjugated proteins. And these are also known as heteroproteins. Like in simple proteins are also known as homoproteins, and conjugated proteins are also known as heteroproteins, and have known protein portion as a glycoprotein and chromoprotein, etc. Then we have derived proteins. These proteins derived from simple or conjugated proteins by physical or chemical means, by the denaturing of the protein or maybe the attachment of any group. The word derived in actually explains from where this classification come from. This classification came from simple and conjugated protein. That's proteins that are, so derived proteins, the word drive in actual explains from where it came. So the derived proteins came from simple proteins and conjugated proteins. Again, we have simple proteins, conjugated proteins, and glycoproteins. The glycoproteins are the proteins that covalently bind one or more carbohydrate unit to a polypeptide backbone. Chromoprotein have colored prosthetic group. For example, hemoglobin, myoglobin, and it has one or more than one, sometimes four heme groups. Chlorophyll, which bind a porphyrin ring with a magnesium atom at its center. Okay, so these all are chromoproteins. Chromo mean color, derived from the word color, and then we have the proteins that have colored prosthetic group, and we already discussed what is prosthetic group. Prosthetic group is a non-protein part that helps protein to function properly. Then we have phosphoproteins. Phosphoprotein, we have phosphoric acid to attached with serine and threonine, and helps to structure and function of the protein. Generally, they have structural functions such as tooth. Everything is written here also. You can read it from here too. On the basis of their shape, proteins may be divided into two classes: fibrous proteins and globular proteins. So fibrous proteins, they have primarily mechanical and structural functions, providing support to the cell as well as the whole organism. These proteins are insoluble in water, and they contain both internally and on their surface many hydrophobic amino acids. The presence of their surface of hydrophobic amino acids facilitates their packing into very complex supramolecular structures, that is fibrous proteins, that helps in mechanical and structural functions and gives support to the cell and the organism. So hydrophobin has long filaments and sheets with secondary structure, same like secondary structure, and has alpha keratin, fibrin. It is produced by the spider insects. An example is that produced by the silkworm. That is fibrin proteins usually and mostly produced by the insects and spiders in the webs of spiders, and silkworm of also. Then we have collagen. The term collagen indicates not a single protein but a family of structurally related at least 29 different types, which constitute the main protein component of connective tissues. The extracellular scaffolding of multicellular organisms. In vertebrates, they represent about 25 to 30% of the proteins. That is collagen. And this main component is the connection of the tissues. It helps to connect the tissues. In vertebrates, it has 25 to 30% of all the proteins. Present in all the tendons, organic matrix of bone, also in cartilage and cornea of eye, fibers of skin, tensile strength, all includes in this collagen. Keratin is, and where it usually constitutes: in nails, in claws, in beaks, in hooves, in horns, in hairs, in wool, And flexibilities of these structures is the consequences of a number of disulfide bonds that contribute together with other binding forces to stabilize the structure. And this is the reason why wool keratins, which have a low number of disulfide bonds, are flexible, soft, and extensible, unlike claw and beak. So we have the answer here also. I also mentioned the link for your study. You can have a detailed notes in this link. That is not from me, from other guys, but it's a very good notes. Then we have elastin. Elastin has the elasticity of skin and red blood cells. The protein provides elasticity to the skin and blood vessels, a consequence of its random coiled structure that differs from the structure of alpha keratin and collagen.